as an actor, your whole life is just, it's all chaos. You never know where your next paycheck is coming from, or in any creative field, you know? You never know what your next job will be or where it will be. So yeah, I mean, I think if I could do that and not be miserable, I totally would. But, you know, my best day doing what I love, or my worst day doing what I love, is better than my best day anywhere else.
Follow me along. Podcast and stuff we just started.
Cool.
Who am I here with today?
Who am I?
Who am I here with today? Just who am I here with today?
I am Kristin DeGroot, and I'm holding a puppy that's not mine, but I love him anyway. Is it him or her?
Her, Sonny.
Her, excuse me. I am an actress/singer in the Central Texas area.
So you jumped into it because you knew the second question was, who is Kristin?
Yep. That would be, yes. That's pretty much how I define myself, so yeah.
Actress/singer?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get into actress/singering?
The first production I remember ever being in was a production of Heidi, I think, when I was like 9 or 10, something like that. And then I really got started when I was in high school, and I did Oklahoma with like a local music group, and then I was like, oh, I could do this like for the rest of my life. Not get paid really, but you know.
Every now and then it happens though, right?
Every once in a while. Well, I recently, stop that. I'm just gonna be dealing with this because I love this puppy. In, I believe, January of last year, I decided to start only doing acting work that paid, which has changed the scope of how I work quite a bit.
For better or worse?
Both. Definitely the volume has dropped off because Austin is not a good place to find work, which is why ideally I'd like to move in the next couple years.
What were you thinking?
In a perfect world, I'd go to New York, but it depends if I can save the money.
New York, I guess, makes sense because I guess from what I see from you from the clips and stuff, it's a lot of the stage stuff, and the stage is over there, right? Versus the obvious LA. That's the city that I think of. Not that I'm an actor or nothing, but just
but for
the
acting.
Industry is there.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what a lot of people think of. But yeah, LA is more film, and most of the theater is in New York, or else what's much more common is people from all over the country audition in New York. So like they'll hold auditions in New York even if the actual production is in like North Carolina or something.
Oh, wow.
So if you have that as your base, theoretically you can travel all over the place, which would be ideal. But you know, obviously that's expensive and a big move, and I'm not too fussed about it right now, just kind of something that's a possibility. But yeah, there's not a lot of paying work in Austin. The ones that do pay are like very cliquish. And one thing that surprised me when I stopped doing community theater and told people very politely that no, I'm only working for paying gigs now, is the number of responses that I got that sort of implied that I was doing it for the wrong reasons, that I was acting for the wrong reasons, that because I wanted to be paid, I was not in it for like love of the art.
Damn. So like, did that like that? I guess that changed like your. Was it just work people circle or friend circle to some degree too?
No, it's work people. Friends tend to understand. You know, most of my friends are actors and like me, actors who want to do this for the rest of their lives. Yeah. So it was a decision that we actually kind of, a lot of us made at the same time to take this next step in our career. But the backlash I got was mostly from, because I did a lot of community theater before that. And I would get, you know, lots of people that I'd done shows with before just acquaintances, I guess, that I knew from shows in the past. And if they asked me if I was auditioning, I said, no, that's not something I'm interested right now. And if they press me and I tell them I'm only doing it for money, then I'd get kind of one of these looks, okay.
I feel you. Yeah. I make a lot of stuff right now still. I'm like kind of narrowed myself down to like 3 arts, like make music, podcasting, and like live concert recording or streaming.
That's cool.
But like the third one has become like, it's not 100%, but it's becoming more and more like, yeah, well, if I get paid, I'll do it. But like, and it's not like I don't love it or something, but it's like, yeah, I'm trying to do a lot. Preferably, my life will also be in the creative field, forever. And I'm like, well, in order to make that happen, I'm slowly moving into it. Like I always tell people, I have this stubborn thing in me, and where I really want to do what I want, and obviously the world doesn't necessarily care what I want, because if I did what they want, even in the creative fields, but what they want, probably have a higher chance of success. Still no success guaranteed, but I'm like, but slowly, as my stuff doesn't work, I at least try some of that stuff, So I'm like slowly, very slowly, because I'm super stubborn, but trying, because yeah, man, I really don't want to go to the quote unquote real world again.
Yeah, I had a 9-to-5 job, like an actual proper one, for about 6 months, I guess, a couple of years ago. And I just thought, nah, I'd rather be poor. This is the worst. And I think it's genuinely awesome that that's not the case for everyone. I'm really glad that there are people who can do that and not be miserable all the time. I think that's... honestly, I'm envious of those people.
Of the ones who can do 9 to 5?
Yeah, I mean, steady paycheck. You know your hours. You know what you're going to be doing in 5 years. You have money. You don't have to worry about like moving or making rent or. So you like
I guess the consistency or safeness of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think stability is one of the things that human beings like inherently crave. We need I think as Jordan Peterson would say, like an antidote to the chaos. But and you don't have much of that as an actor. Your whole life is just it's all chaos. You never know where your next paycheck is coming from, or in any creative field. You never know what your next job will be or where it will be. So yeah, I mean, I think if I could do that and not be miserable, I totally would. But my best day doing what I love, or my worst day doing what I love, is better than my best day anywhere else.
That's like very well said versus how I would say it.
Well, I did mess it up, so I wouldn't say it was very well said.
Well, I mean, I would probably just be like really like plain and ignorant about it. Like, man, that stuff sucks, and this stuff doesn't.
I mean, it does. Yeah, I got through like a lot of my life without like actually working a proper job like you're supposed to. Yeah. And then I finally did it, and I was like, oh no, I hate this. This is terrible. And I think that just has a lot to do with my personality also. I don't like doing busy work or I don't
selling time.
Yeah. I mean, I would do everything that I was told to do, and then I'd get on the computer and like find web-based browser games and do that for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then my boss told me we're not allowed to do personal things, and I was like, okay, do you have work for me? And she said, no. I was like, okay, so I played on my phone instead.
Yeah.
Like I would go to work and watch Netflix for 6 hours. And at first that was fun, and then it got really boring.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the point.
Yeah, time-based is horrible. Like in the perfect world, if some of those things could be converted into project-based, but I think at low level, it's really hard to do that. I think at a certain point, once you get to like consultant status, then you can get away with that.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
That's probably true. I think it would be easier if once you finish a job, then you can go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. But the time-based things just kill me. I just watch the clock.
For sure. What you said about consistency, and I wish I had a table. That way my water would be close. I said, I wish I had a
Yeah, I know. I know, I moved over here and I was like, haha, score.
Yeah. But what you said about consistency, that's probably like the number one reason, like, because I've always thought of like, man, I want to go to LA. And I think, it's like, man, I don't know what it's going to be like in the beginning, you know, and that's probably one of the few things that still scared me of going, is that, like, man, I just don't know what's going to happen. Fear of the unknown, you know, in the very beginning.
I think people underestimate how scary the unknown can be. Combined with the fact that I was told recently that moving is like one of the 5 most stressful things that human beings deal with.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of good, because
like,
I feel like that's nothing.
No, I mean, it's a big deal to a lot of people, so that's like, good for you.
But you said it's one of the 5 most stressed. Like,
I don't know what the others are, but someone told me once, or pretty recently, that it's one of the 5 most stressful things, or like up there. It's always more stressful than you expect it to be. And when you're looking around your house, you always go like, I don't have that much stuff. And then you start packing it and you go, oh, I have a lot of stuff.
Well, you see with me, like, and I've been trying to do this, and I actually sold a lot of stuff last year. So with me, like, one, I don't want to have anything unless it's like very important to like my creative stuff. So right now I'm kind of lowering down to that. I did a lot of that last year. But the stubborn thing in me right now is that, like, I'm like, but even if it's nothing, I still want to sell it. So instead of just giving it away or something. So sometimes that slows me down. But yeah, I don't want to have a lot of stuff, because in my opinion, I still have too much stuff, and I only have like 1 room. But I look at some of my friends and they got like houses full of shit, and I'm like, the fuck, what is this? What is that? Like, what are you doing? Like,
I've definitely found that, because I've moved a lot in the past maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And every time I move, I just think like I own way too many things, and I just start like throwing everything out.
Yeah.
And I want to hit that point where I just don't. I definitely do feel like I own too many things now. I would prefer a more minimalist setup, I suppose. But there's a part of me that's a little too sentimental for that, I think. You know, I like to save things, and I think like, well, I can't get rid of this because I don't know when I'll see the person who gave it to me again.
Yeah. So I struggle with that with cards, right?
I don't know. Well, so I actually I ended up, I had 3 boxes just full of like cards and letters and memorabilia and stuff. And I was lugging them around with me everywhere I went. And I finally went through, I pulled out every single card. It took me all day. Yeah. Pulled out every single card, and I read it, and I was like, this is nice, or this is worth saving. And the nice ones, I read them again, and then I chucked them. And then there are some that they're very meaningful or have specific messages that you need to hear more than once. Yeah. And then I just put them in a little manila folder, and that's my letters and cards folder. So I can just put them in there when I get them.
I mean, like, so when I was going through all my cards, I was like, man, I think the only one of these I want to keep are my mom. Like, she's like super religious, and she writes like psalms and stuff. But now I'm even at the point, like, I don't even think I'm gonna keep these anymore either, because it's like I said, I just don't want nothing. I want to be highly mobile. And then I'm like, man, like, it's not my mom. Like my mom's, you know, that person.
Right. You still have the person. It's not, you're not throwing away your mother.
Yeah. That sounds horrible. Yeah. So
no,
I try to tell myself that, you know, like, or like, my father passed away many years ago, and like, man, they be trying to give me like so much stuff, like, and I'm like, sometimes I think now I'm finally getting to the point where like, all right, man, I finally accepted all that, you know, that he's gone and stuff. But I mean, the way I deal with it is like, look, man, I can't have like 800 things like about reminding me of him. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
So like, I just can't have all this stuff. Like, I mean, I ain't trying to be rude or nothing, but like, I can't. I take it, and I'm like, I'm grateful, and I'm like, but I can't keep this, you know, long term, you know.
That's something that actually has helped me sort of minimize my the amount of material things I own.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll just sit around and I look at my room and I go, okay, if I died right now and somebody came in like they would have to and sort through all my stuff and go, okay, we'll give this to this person, we'll give this laptop to someone else, and all this rest of the stuff is going to go to Goodwill. I have to think, like, realistically, most of the things I own, no one else would want. They mean nothing, or else they're, like, so broken that there's no point. Like, all my stuff is crappy.
Yeah.
You know, like, most of the things I own, if I'm old and I die, or if I die today, they're trash. Like, they don't mean anything to anyone else. And I guess my goal is to try and leave as little trash as possible. Or it's not trash, but it's things that if I, like, realistically, if I died, would mean nothing to anyone else, would not be useful to anything else.
Yeah.
And they would be trash, you know, or Goodwill. And so I'm trying to, I guess, cut down on those things. Which sort of sounds like I'm trying to get rid of anything personal. I don't know.
But the way you first described it almost sounded like, man, I'm trying to leave a minimal eco footprint.
Oh, I couldn't care less about that. I just don't want to... I don't want people to be saddled with things that used to belong to me just because they belonged to me, if that makes sense. Like, I'd rather have... I think, like you said, like things that are useful, things that are utilitarian, things that serve a purpose.
Only thing I kept from my dad was his guitars. That was it, because that's what I do, is music. So that's one of the things I do.
So that's a good marriage of like sentimentality versus utility.
Yeah, and everything. I'm sure I'll have other stuff, but like it's probably just away, and I never use it. You know, like yeah. So, and like, but yeah, those are the things that long term, like, I want to keep these guitars and all of them. I don't really need anything else, you know?
Yeah. I know. I don't know what I would. I mean, I'd feel like my great grandma died when I was like maybe 12. And I remember just going through all of her stuff and thinking, like, none of us want this.
Yeah.
This is all, like, what we'd give this to like a thrift shop or a homeless shelter, but like nobody wants these things.
Yeah, yeah.
And even the things that meant a lot to her, they're just not going to mean anything to anybody else.
I thought the last Star Wars movie, Last Jedi, I thought that movie sucks, right? It sucks ass, in my opinion. But he did say, let go of the past, right? Mm-hmm. So
you didn't like that movie?
That movie sucks ass. That movie
I'm trying to remember, like, I feel like...
If you talk to me in December, I could really give you a lot of reasons, like, why it sucks ass. It's really hard for me to give you probably great reasons now.
I haven't seen it in a while.
But the fact that you even asked me that way, I guess you liked it in some way, even if you didn't like it.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember. When I did the Star Wars thing, like, yeah. I have probably still forgotten at this point more Star Wars knowledge than most people will ever know.
Okay.
When, like, from like 12 to 17, that was my thing.
Yeah.
But I just never bothered to like commit the new ones to my lexicon.
Okay.
It kind of came after. It's just the 6 for me. But
damn, so these aren't canon for you.
No, they're really not. They're really not. I remember getting
Disney ain't canon.
What was the Force Awakens? I got super mad because, like, even though obviously they changed a lot of things, because I read the books. Which one, sorry?
No, which one are you saying that you got super mad?
Force Awakens.
Okay.
And it was for the dumbest reason.
So I don't like Force Awakens, but it's fine. But I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And it sucks too. But what I mean is, like, Last Jedi is just like dog shit. Like, it's just really, like, it's junk. Like, Force Awakens' problem to me, said simple, is that it did something I didn't know was possible. It's a remake and a sequel at the same time. Yeah. That I didn't even know was a thing. I didn't even know.
They weren't even trying to hide the fact that it was just A New Hope with a female
had A New Hope
protagonist.
not existed, I'm like, this movie could probably not suck, but it does exist, so it sucks. Last Jedi just sucks.
I did hear a lot of. I did not. I mean, I didn't. I don't think I liked Last Jedi. there was like one small part of it that I really enjoyed, and it was because I think Adam Driver is easily at this point, aside from Oscar Isaac, who's not given anything to do for some reason. He's an amazing actor, and they were just like, we don't need him.
Yeah.
But Adam Driver, I think, is right now the best actor that they have in the franchise. And he has a moment where he's talking to Ray that would have been so easy to overact. It's the like, you don't have a part in this story. You're nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And it would have been so easy to overact, and he says it so casually that, like, it's perfect because she's standing there, like, losing her mind, sobbing, and he's like, get over it. Deal with it. It's perfect. The whole rest of the movie, I could take or leave.
Visually, actually, though, I'll say is the one positive thing I can say about that movie. I love the final scene, the whole red into sand. That whole, like, all right, so there's, like, I don't know what we call these things, but whack motorcycles, because they're like broken and stuff. But like pretty much any movement done in the sand creates red, so it's almost like some John Woo style, like way too. This war is pretty, you know, like almost that makes me think of young Tarantino as well too. But yeah, like so when they show these like sky angles, like you see these two things moving forward, but like they're just creating these red marks. So it's almost like a visual art piece. So that part I like, but I mean that's not the movie or story or nothing. You know?
Right.
It just looks really awesome.
Yeah. I mean I'm 100% unimpressed by Daisy Ridley. I thought, okay, this is like as bad as it'll get. This is like she's pretty and uninteresting.
Yeah.
And then I saw Rogue One, and I don't even know who plays Jen Erso, but she's the worst.
You didn't like her?
What's to like? She doesn't do anything. She's the worst.
I do like that of all 4 movies though. That's my favorite movie though.
Really?
Yeah. I love that shit. I mean,
it had some great characters, but to me they were all overshadowed by the fact that they were bit players and their lead was so boring. She didn't do anything. I didn't care about her at all.
Yeah.
At all.
I think somehow that movie for me was like more nostalgic than Force Awakens.
It definitely had like the classic Star Wars adventure feel to it.
And
somehow.
then like they did it like I guess like the way it should be done at this point. Like, you know, even telling a story of the past, like they have all these brand new characters. And then it's like, all right, here's the person that shot first, and here's this, and here's like it's sprinkled about instead of like, man, here's Leia, and here's Leia.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
Force Awakens is hilarious because it starts off as a Rey's movie, and then Han Solo and Chewie come, and it's like, thank you. Give me this horse now. I got this too.
Yeah. I mean that's very true. Like it did. At least Force Awakens like felt like a new chapter, like a new story instead of just like fan service.
I think the biggest things those movies did wrong for me is that like, as this is like quickly summing them both up, is that had I really thought, since everybody's old, right, who's an OG, I really thought they were just gonna be in there. Here's the torch. Go do some shit. You know, I thought it was gonna be that. But then they kind of made them like real parts of the story. However, they didn't want to give them the movie. So it's like all these people are super important, but we really want these new people to be the movie. But it's like, well, why are you giving them super important roles? So, and they never get to intermingle. So it's like you're gonna have all these cool old people, but they're never gonna play with each other. Which is like, if they're gonna have them here, and guess what? Whatever you think they should be like, they ain't like that. You know, because all they did was hit, except for Leia, who's kind of, and I can make a case why she sucks too, but like, yo, Han Solo pretty much reverted back to the same junk he was before in Star Wars New Hope. He's just literally doing the same thing to the point he don't even have the Falcon no more, you know?
Yeah.
Luke don't want to be a Jedi.
See, that didn't bother me because that followed what was canon for me, and probably always will be to some extent, is the extended universe, the books.
I haven't read that,
which
but
no one likes except for me.
there's nothing wrong with that, but based on what we saw, all we did was go back to 0 for everybody.
But that's how that's what happens in the books. The books go real dark real fast.
Yeah.
Han and Leia go through a long period of separation. They have 3 kids.
Yeah.
2 of whom turn to the dark side. And one of them, their son, whose name is Anakin Solo, which was what made me so mad that they decided to name him. They named Kylo Ren Ben instead of Anakin, because I was like, no, his name's Anakin.
Disney canon, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, no one cares except me. No one got mad about it except for me. It was stupid. But it gets real dark. Anakin Solo messes with the Falcon and gets, because of like something that he does, I don't remember, but he gets Chewie killed. And Han like goes on a bender and leaves his family for a really long time and starts drinking again and loses the Falcon.
That makes so much sense.
But that's why it didn't bother me that they did that in the movie, because I was like, okay, that's where he ends up in the books as well. They did a different way around
is still
it.
There.
Yeah, I mean they get there a different way.
And Chewie only had 5 minutes of being angry.
I'm about to sound real stupid, but I don't remember if Peter Mayhew is still alive.
Is that
the original Chewie actor?
I feel like he's in Force Awakens. I don't know if he keeps doing it after that.
I mean,
but I want to say he's in Force Awakens.
I cannot remember if that was him or not in the movies.
I want to say yes, because really for that one, they were trying so hard to put as many people in that one. Well,
but if he's not, I really should know this. But if he's not, that would explain.
No, you shouldn't know this. You got a life to live. You got.
Well, if Peter Mayhew is not still alive, then that would explain why Chewie isn't in the movies much. And also, he doesn't speak English, so he's hard to relate to.
But you see, that's one of my problems too. Like, it's like a lot of these people are there and then just put to the side. R2-D2 just like has one scene in Last Jedi.
I mean, it's a lot of cameos.
And it's like, well, then don't put him in, dude. Like, or like, don't have him be there. Like, my man's like driving Miss Daisy now. He's just literally.
Yeah, I mean, he can't. Yeah, he is. Well, yeah. Well, a lot of people. I had it explained to me, or somebody mentioned, and I thought this was accurate.
Yeah.
That this was the first Star Wars movie ever that George Lucas hadn't driven.
Yeah.
Like, he was not behind the wheel for this one. And...
Well, I mean, both kind of. You mean all these, right? Just all of them.
Oh, all the 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, starting with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
These are the first ones that he was not behind the wheel. And somebody pointed out that the rationale for basically remaking A New Hope in Force Awakens was that J.J. Abrams needed to prove to the world that he could do classic Star Wars really well. And I mean, honestly, I think he proved it, because like you said, if we hadn't had A New Hope, I guess 40 years ago, 50 years ago, then we would have all said, wow, this movie is incredible. This is like a new brand of storytelling.
Because it's still 40 years ago. It's still 40 years later. No, because...
Oh, that's true. But,
it wouldn't be as incredible. It might be, this is a good movie. I mean,
it's true that Star Wars...
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars did for sci-fi what Tolkien, what Lord of the Rings did for fantasy. Like, it changed the genre irreversibly.
Yeah, so to do that now, you still might be like, all right, I don't got nothing to shit on for it.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'd be like, oh, wow, like, let's all
But, I mean, maybe it would, we can't say...
You don't know.
We don't know one way or the other where the landscape of sci-fi would be.
But then if we're going to apply that logic, then that movie can't exist because there is no Star Wars, right? He can't make Force Awakens because there is no New Hope to remake in the first place.
Right. I mean, so, maybe. Yeah. But that's a fair point, too. We don't know. Maybe J.J. Abrams wouldn't have been capable of making Force Awakens without...
My friends call that the JJ sauce. Is where he sprinkles nostalgia in his stuff to bring it up.
I mean, yeah, he's all about nostalgia. He really is. It's nostalgia and like a feeling of... I don't want to say like realism exactly. I don't know exactly what it is about, but he has a very distinct style, but I'm not sure how to quantify it.
Can it be quantified in lens flare?
I mean, I was like, I don't want to say it, but like he does.
I feel like he's getting away from that, though. I feel like he's getting away.
He totally is. Like that's how we associate him. But he has more of a style than that.
No, sure. I'll say one nice thing about him, especially now at his current level. I think he's like a grandmaster. Like, sure, he makes the movie occasionally because that's what we started any of these things for, is to make stuff. Mm-hmm. But at this point, like he's opening the door for people.
Yeah, I mean,
because he has the whole company, Robot Land or Big Robot or whatever it's called. And there was one more thing I was gonna say akin to that, but I don't remember. So that's it. Keep on letting people in.
Yeah.
Keep on letting.
No, I mean, yell out if you remember. I
like
can
Castle
understand
Rock right now. I haven't seen Castle Rock, but I think that's part of like his thing? Like, does he have anything to really do with it on a front basis? Maybe not, but I mean, he's part of helping that become allowed.
He certainly, I mean, to me there is, I haven't sat down and like made lists or anything, but to me there is in the same way that you could watch several Tarantino movies and go, okay, I see a thread of the way people talk and the way that it's shot.
Yeah.
You know, I think you could watch something and not be surprised that J.J. Abrams was involved.
Yeah.
Like, he certainly, even if he's not the one, like, behind the camera, it's still in his style.
There's nothing wrong with that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. And, you know, I think he's a worthy successor of Star Wars. If only because, like, we found out what happens when you give George Lucas too much of the reins. Like, bad things happen.
See, but that, I think, is a man who maybe didn't want to make Star Wars at that point, you know, because that's like, how many years later are those prequels?
Well, he said he didn't want to make it anymore. One of the reasons he gave the franchise away and sold it to Disney was because he said he wasn't having fun anymore, because it stopped being a pet project for him and started being something that he felt didn't belong to him anymore, which is
because it didn't. Yeah,
and it's true and it's sad. But also George Lucas he's an idea man. He's not. He needs a strong creative team behind him.
Yeah.
I read, not an interview, it was a transcript of him and Steven Spielberg and somebody else.
Was it Coppola back in the day too? A lot of those guys, especially before Star Wars 1, were all around each other.
No, it was. I remember it was Spielberg and Lucas, and then a third guy that I don't know, but who was involved with Indiana Jones to some extent.
Okay.
And it's the meeting where, for the first time ever, Lucas pitches the concept of Indiana Jones to Spielberg and this other guy, and it's incredible, because what you can really see are like these ideas that he has are incredible, and he's like throwing them out there, and he's got these like grand scope images that later you can kind of see, oh, this is the thread of where this ended up. Like, he starts off with like, he's this really cool suave guy, and like he wears a hat and he's got like a signature weapon. I don't know what it is yet, and later it becomes the whip. And there's also, you know, a running thread of like, he's like invincible except for like one thing that he's like scared of. I haven't decided what it is yet.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see those beginnings, especially like, because Spielberg keeps getting caught up in like tiny details and like envisioning little bitty scenes. And George Lucas keeps going back to like, no, like, let me tell you about the scope. Let me tell you about this arc, this huge story that I want to tell.
So they pull each other.
Yeah. And it's just amazing to see how it evolved from that one meeting into like this grand thing that, I mean, if there's one thing George Lucas does really well, like, these are worlds that nobody's been able to replicate, creating that style of, I mean, well, there's like, you know, there's other universes, like there's Marvel and DC and stuff like that, but like this is one guy who changed entire genres. Like Indiana Jones, like that's like the adventure.
He did it
genre.
When it was tough.
Yeah. Well, he was the first one, basically, not to do it, but to mainstream it.
Yeah.
And he changed how we look at those style of movies. And then, but I think because he was the progenitor of those things, it also made him the target for later on when people kind of forgot that they owed the things that they loved to him.
Yeah. Not that I've made anything that epic, but I know as a creator, sometimes like you like making stuff and moving forward. And I think the success just made it hard to move it forward. And that's what, why maybe the other things turn out as they turn out. Because it just doesn't seem like he necessarily wants to do those things. So when he did it with how he is currently, you know, years removed from the original ones, they turn out how they turn out with a lot more talking and government debating and stuff. You know?
Well, and the sad thing is, I don't think that had to be, it didn't have to be as boring as it was.
Yeah.
I sort of just think the issue was, I think George Lucas's creativity was helped rather than hampered by the limited number of special effects options that they had back in the day. Like, you had to have the real models, you had to have real puppets.
I still think those things look better sometimes.
Well, they do. It's very obvious in not Force Awakens, in Last Jedi, that Yoda's still partly CGI and it doesn't look good.
Oh, really? Like, I thought they puppeted him for this one.
I believe it's like half and half. I think they probably did like body puppet facial. I don't know what the ratio is, but someone told me it was half and half, or partly each way. But I just don't. I think his storytelling was elevated by those challenges, and then as soon as he got all the toys that he could use, then he kind of got distracted by those.
We are the best when we're put in a box.
I mean, yeah, that's true. He was told multiple times that Star Wars wouldn't work, and the amazing thing about it is that it almost didn't. I mean, Star Wars never should have happened. The number of like crazy coincidences and accidents and last minute changes that all somehow came together to create this thing that changed the face of sci-fi. And if even one of those things hadn't happened, maybe we wouldn't have that on the landscape today. It was just Star Wars never should have happened. It was just a bunch of amazing accidents held together by a story that somehow made the movie that we love.
I feel like you said about a lot of great things.
I think that's the case. I don't think that you could look at anything like really amazing, especially not a movie because of all the moving parts.
Yeah.
And say like this was all planned from day one. Like the things that are all scripted out and perfectly smooth and streamlined and processed, I think those are the movies that are like summer blockbusters that do well.
Ooh. Are you good?
That do well for like a summer and they make money and then that's it. They don't change anything or they're just fun, I guess.
Yeah.
But the movies that are labors of love, those are the ones that need that extra helping hand of fate to like really make it great.
Did you know Chris Klein at all? Or he was like
Doesn't sound familiar.
He was under like Dr. Siebel, like doing like the tech at UTSA when we were there.
No, I guess not.
Anyway, I ended up becoming real good friends with him, so he was able to hook me up with an old student, and I got to go to Industrial Light and Sound, and it was pretty cool. It's probably like for people who do what I do, that's probably one of the dream jobs, not just because of what you work on, but like you stare at a computer all day, right? Even when you're doing this cool stuff, you're still staring at a computer all day, right? So you go outside, and it's an actual literal ranch. Like there's no city there. There's just mountains and like grass. And like they grow their own stuff there, like for some stuff, like the I don't know what it is, like the wine stuff, or like they grow, like they're growing things there. Like I had to drive in some mountains, like across the Golden Gate Bridge just to get there. I was like, man, GPS is losing signal. I'm like, I hope I get there.
Right.
Nobody wants to let me in because they don't trust me, you know. So I had to call people. But yeah, man, it was just mad cool. And then actually like the guy's actually giving me a tour. I asked him like, man, so you without telling like all that and just talking about that ranch forever, like he's like, man, so how's it working here and like spoilers and stuff? Because I got to see them work on Doctor Strange before Doctor Strange came out, and he's like, we were talking about Force Awakens at that time, and he's like, dude, so like I avoided all spoilers, and then one day they called me in because he was like he fixed his errors on the stuff. One day they called me in and I look at the screen. And Han Solo, spoilers by the way, Han Solo is dead, and he's like, really, guys? Like no one could turn this off before I walked in the room. You know, like,
I suppose it must just be an occupational hazard.
I guess, but
like if you're anywhere near this movie,
it's like artistic courtesy.
I mean, you would hope, yeah.
Like no, dude, that's the error. We can't turn off the TV.
Right. Maybe they just thought he knew already. Like, dude, we all know. We're all in this ranch together. This is all we talk about.
But nah, it was real cool. Like, they had the original lightsabers there and, like, a lot of stuff. Lucas still has, like, imagine if this upstairs was all Lucas. One of the places, like, this is George Lucas's upstairs. They don't even guard it or nothing, because if you go up there and you're not supposed to, you know what happens. He has his library from back in the day. Mm-hmm. Like I think it has some vinyl and music in there too, but like pretty much all the books he used to learn anything about filmmaking that you can check out yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, so no, it was pretty cool. I was very fortunate to see that.
That's amazing.
You were one of the first people you and just maybe like society at that point, because I think it was bubbling, but you got me into like Doctor Who at the time.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of Jodie Whittaker right now?
I don't mind. I mean, the doctors made it very clear that
I loved her from Broadchurch. I just love Broadchurch.
Was she in Broadchurch?
She was did you see all?
Yeah, I've seen all 3 seasons.
So like, you know, the mother who loses the son, that's who she is. Redhead.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. You're supposed to be the one who cares about these actor things, you know?
I stopped watching Doctor Who when Matt Smith left.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, no, that's not true. I stopped watching Doctor Who when Amy and Rory left.
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with that. This is Jodie Whittaker. But you were that attached. You were like, I can't.
Well, I just stopped. Like, I just didn't. Oh, you're right. That totally is her.
Yeah, man.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
She was great in Broadchurch.
Broadchurch was awesome.
Broadchurch was amazing.
I really think as things go on, they don't necessarily need to go on. I feel like 1 and 2
I don't know how it's going to continue. I really don't.
I'm pretty sure it's done.
Is it?
I would like to think so. Did you see all 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, the 3rd one is almost just like a new chapter. Like, it has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, that's what surprised me. Well, that's why I thought maybe they'll keep going, because the first 2
now
were...
it's just detective stories.
Right, like, I thought, like, maybe we'll do a case a season.
Yeah,
and I'm into it. I love David Tennant, and I worship Olivia Colman. I've been following her forever.
People were she was in the rumors for being the Doctor.
She'd be amazing. Well, but now she's going to be I haven't watched it, but she's going to be the next Elizabeth when they age up in The Crown.
Oh wow.
It's not Claire what's her face anymore. I don't watch it. I'm just like, yay, Olivia Colman's finally getting the spotlight, because she deserves it. She's incredible. Like, incredible. In Broadchurch, she just, like, I don't understand how she can be that good. But like, Ellie's just amazing. I
feel like at some point should have you on and we'll just talk like actors and stuff, and you can educate me on that.
I don't have any wide range of knowledge. I just know little bits and pieces.
You can point out things that
I like.
I'm like never gonna notice.
Well, I didn't know. I totally didn't put together that Jodie Whittaker was Beth.
Yeah, but you're talking. I mean, from a skill point, of course. Maybe you can't point out their face, but I mean, but you can point out if they can act.
Maybe I'm so surprised that I've been seeing pictures of Jodie Whittaker around, and at no point did I go like, it's Beth Latimer.
Hair color is really powerful, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, it never occurred to me to picture her as a blonde. But I mean, Broadchurch. I was going to say something about it because it's so good. Am I allowed? Like, I don't know how many spoilers, whatever. But I watched it all a while ago.
Yeah.
The first season.
I watched it in time with when they were airing it over there.
It was so good. Yeah. But so I watched it all a while ago when it aired, and then I rewatched it knowing who the killer is, and it just changes everything.
That I haven't done. I'm very bad at watching things again.
Well, it had been long enough that, like, I remembered some things, but not all the details.
Gotcha.
Which was really good, because if you watch Broadchurch again, the first season of Broadchurch, knowing who the killer is,
it makes more sense and stuff.
It doesn't make more sense. Nothing, there aren't, like, any clues. It's sort of just, spoilers, it's Joe. And if you... Also, like, if you watch if you've already seen the show, you know that one of the very first scenes is, I don't remember the dad's name of the murdered kid.
Ben?
No,
I don't know.
I don't remember. Well, the dad of the murdered kid. The very first scene is him leaving his house and walking down Main Street and saying hello to all of his neighbors. And you know, if you've already seen the show, that his kid is dead at this point, and his kid died sometime within the past 12 hours. And the very first person that he greets all of his friends, all of whom you know will be suspects later on. And the very first person that he sees is Joe with Olivia Colman and his family. And, like, everybody's super normal, and that scene seems so harmless and natural and just like, oh, they're establishing that he lives in a community. And then you go back and watch it and you realize this is a lineup of everyone that you're about to start to suspect. It's just little things like that. It's nothing. You'd never be able to like figure it out.
See,
beforehand.
like the way you're talking right there, that's what I was talking about. Cause that like I listen to. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I'll probably follow him to the day I die. But he does a show called Fat Man on Batman with this guy called Mark Bernardin, and he's actually one of the writers on Castle Rock. He did episode 6. But that dude, he's like one of the first people to I guess make me pay attention to things. Cause I'll be like, I'll say something about one of these Marvel movies, or I'll feel some type of way. Then he'll say it like the same way, same thing, but super articulate. And then what the writer was trying to do, and I was like, oh shit. And like you just said, like they're establishing the lineup, you know, or whatever, you know. And I'm like, yeah, like so now I'll catch myself watching things, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like I jokingly maybe say it like I know what I'm talking about, like Screenwriter 101 or something. Because I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing this for that. They're doing this for that, you know?
That to me is how you can tell good writing. If in really good writing, screenwriting at least, nothing is wasted.
Yeah.
Like in Broadchurch, like nothing that anyone says goes unnoticed. Nothing's innocuous. Nothing just gets thrown away. Every shot serves a purpose. And every word serves a purpose. And that's good writing.
In my head, like I do want to experiment, like not that I've ever even done writing like that, like for shows, but like I got a bunch of like masterclass tutorials that I have stored up. Like let me learn what I'm supposed to and not do, and I want to try like at least give it a shot, just to like I don't even know like if I even want to take it seriously to even like start submitting. I just want to just try it, just to see what it feels like.
I don't think there's any skill set that doesn't branch over to other skill sets.
Yeah.
And I think that if you try to improve one skill set, even if it's not a thing that you want to improve, you're just doing it for fun, in some way or another, getting better at that will also make you better at something else. So, you know, so I have hobbies that like are nothing. Like one thing that I do for fun that makes no difference to anyone except for me is I will like listen to music and try and transcribe it onto paper without looking at like sheet music.
You mean
that
like the
already
notes
exists.
and stuff? Yeah. Oh wow.
Theoretically, I learned how to do that in college, but it's been a while since
college.
What they call
the oral or something?
Yeah, oral skills. Yeah, and I'm not an instrumentalist, so I don't have like piano skills behind it. So I'm very bad at it.
Yeah.
Like really bad at it.
Yeah.
But the more I learn, the better I get at it, and it doesn't necessarily. I'm never gonna like become a professional transcriptionist or anything, but it's fun for me for whatever reason, and it also, you know, I think it's just helpful in a lot of ways. Like it teaches me more about music theory. It teaches me more about critical thinking, about what's important to look for when a pianist is reading music for the first time. I just don't think there's anything isolated in any skill set that can't be used elsewhere.
Yeah.
So like as long as you're learning anything, I think it's helpful to you as a person.
I'll always be a fan, but I don't actively play anymore, but I was a big fighting game fan and probably will be forever. And there's a guy called James Chen. He's one of the great commentators of the scene, and Street Fighter will always be the primary game for now.
Yeah.
And back in the days, everybody played every game because Street Fighter would be packed. You lose, no, you got to play the other games. Not necessarily people wanted to play the other games, but they would play the other games and inadvertently become good at the other games. But yeah, he was always say like, man, like if you learn this game, like game B, you know, like King of Fighters, you get good at this, which even though you can't do that in Street Fighter, like, but it helps you in this skill set and that. Or Marvel's so fast that when you play Street Fighter, like now it slows down. So, you know, like, so yeah, he would say the same thing about fighting games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even though those aren't your 1A skills, they still help in like little ways, you know?
Yeah. I think anything you can learn ever, basically, will be useful at some point, if only to help further a different skill. And, you know.
No wasted time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't like the concept of wasting time ever doing anything. So, for me, I always like to think, like, what am I getting out of this right now? What am I learning? Which is something, we're about to go real nerdy here, but that's a skill in itself that I learned from playing World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Because if I were like going through a dungeon, say, like, I'd be like, okay, what are the things I can get from this dungeon? Items, I've already got all those items. Experience, I'm at max XP. So why am I doing this? Like, is it like, am I getting stuff? Am I building relationships with people? Like, I got to get something out of this. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. Like, I'm trying to find, like, even the lowest denominator of, am I getting anything out of this? And if not, I need to leave. And that, for some reason, extended to all of my life, where now I go, okay, what am I getting out of this thing that I'm about to do? And if I can pretty much find doing that, I have found that there's almost no situation to which I can say, I get nothing out of this. Like, even if it's a hard lesson in terms of, like, I'm learning how to deal with disappointment, or I'm learning how to not cry in public.
Oh, man.
You know, but you can learn something from every single situation. And then those lessons can be applied later.
What you learned from this podcast?
I don't know. I think we will find that out later. Sometimes it takes a while to process, I think. Or, like, I might later go, oh, that's something I hadn't thought of, and I'm thinking of it this way because I did the podcast, or something like that. You never know.
So I believe you do yoga, right? Too. How'd you get into yoga? Why you do it?
I like it because I'm stretchy, and I don't like doing things I'm bad at. I like doing things I'm good at.
So you're already good at it. It's not even impressive no more. I don't even care.
No, straight up, I started doing it instead of working out because working out is hard, but stretching is easy, and yoga's just stretching. You are stinky. You're a stinky puppy.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, you are.
I started because the opposite. I was not stretchy, and I was like, I need to, and it's been some incremental improvements, but still not like you. Still can't do some of the things you can do.
Well, I mean, in fairness, you know, men are less flexible than women, just naturally.
That's cool. I get it. I don't want that excuse. I'm still trying to kill it.
Wait, I mean, you should. I'm just saying, like, you have a built-in, not an excuse, a built-in understanding of why it may not be
also
as easy
started
for you.
Pretty late, too.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
Had I known younger. Had I known some of the stuff I know from yoga right now when I was, like, before 18, I probably could have played basketball at such high levels. Like, I'm not even talking about being pro or nothing, but I just mean such high levels without any of the pain that would later come. Because I had a lot of pain from basketball later on.
Yeah.
Involving, like, the shins primarily.
Oof.
But that single-handedly probably would have changed my life because I would have just fixed all my problems and I never would have got into trying things that actually made it worse later on. So
yeah.
But
that's one thing I've found that you can't think about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is how it is. Because all that stuff made me who I am today, for better or worse. You know. So yeah. So I do have like these life questions I normally ask. But
yeah, go for it.
I don't think we have time for it right now. So
okay. We got a little bit of time. How much time? Well,
because it just depends.
15 minutes.
And then I can see you diving deep into some of them too. So we'll do it whenever we do it.
Okay.
But let me try to be greedy and steal knowledge from you while I have you.
I got nothing. But
yeah, you
okay.
do because you have talents.
Come on.
As a person who isn't naturally a singer, not you. No, but like you know, I try to experiment with it in my music. Like what is like something. I don't know, something like I can do that you can show me, real basic, that I can maybe use to get better, or something I can do, like some warm-up there, or something I can do to sing better or some shit.
I mean, first of all, the thing to realize is that there's almost nobody, like 90% of people I talk to say, I can't sing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that,
I don't necessarily believe that, but...
I would say, like, maybe I've met, like, 5% of people who are, like, really tone deaf.
Okay.
And, like, really have trouble with it and really have, like, physical or mental impediments about it. Pretty much everybody can sing and sounds pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
As far as,
says
like...
the person who can sing.
Oh, but it's, like, I mean, as somebody who also teaches and, like, is trained to listen to other people... the biggest thing I can tell you that's just going to improve things in general is breathing with your rib cage. So, like, we want to people who don't sing, you want to breathe from like here up.
Yeah.
If you can breathe so that your rib cage like expands yeah, because you got these muscles right here. These are your intercostals. They're the meat between the ribs, which is what you eat if you're eating ribs.
Okay.
And it's a little morbid. But those muscles are what control your breath, and what their job is to expand when you breathe in, and then bring it all back together when you exhale. So if you're singing, what you want to do is train those muscles even as you're exhaling to stay open. So you inhale and then exhale. Open. Yeah. And then keep those muscles open and keep them open while you're exhaling. So like right now I'm exhaling because I'm talking.
I'm gonna write that down. Hold on.
Yeah. But you're using these muscles to keep your rib cage open still.
Because I've always heard sing from diaphragm and blah 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 and all that, but I've never heard like I'm supposed to keep that open. Wow, that's
what
crazy.
You don't want to do is open and then crush back in.
Yeah, because I think that's probably what I do right now.
Well, that's how your body's designed to do. Singing is inherently an unnatural activity.
Damn. Or that's crazy. That's like, oh man, it's gonna make me so self-conscious the next time I try.
Well, what you need to remember is that the reason I mentioned that these are the intercostals is because they're muscles that are really, really good, since they've been doing it for years and years, at pulling out and then pulling back in.
Yeah.
And when you ask them to do this for the first time and keep it open while you're exhaling, they're going to go, what the frick are you doing? And they like start to shake and freak out because they're really weak in that respect. They're not...
So you got built it up.
You haven't told them to do that ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that no one's going to be able to grasp right away because you haven't trained your muscles to do that. It's just like any other muscle.
I feel like you gave me some dark secret tech right now. Like in fighting games, we call tech like technology or tech, like the new new thing, like I feel like you gave me some secret tech right now. I've never heard that. That's amazing.
It's a secret passed on from voice teacher to student. Easy to remember, hard to put into practice.
Word. This is gonna, that's crazy. Hopefully you've changed my life right now. I feel like you
give
did.
It a shot. Yeah. Try just like breathing like that around the house, like even without singing. Just try inhaling like you do normally and then exhaling and keeping this nice and open.
I was meditating before you got here, and it's funny because now like during this meditation I was trying to actively do the normal breathing. And I'm like, shit, I have to try for that one. Now I gotta like undo that too at the same time.
Well, the weird thing too is that like as a singer, I'm trained to like breathe this way like 24/7 to like not necessarily because it's better for you, but because you want to train those muscles.
Yeah, you just want to be good at it.
But if you're if you're doing yoga, you're encouraged to like breathe in and then like squish it down and get all of your air out. Whereas if you're a singer, you're told you should really never run out of air.
Yeah.
You should always have a reserve. It's the idea of like in yoga, you do like the and like get every ounce of air out.
Yeah,
that's just not a concept that exists. And in dance, for example, you want to keep your rib cage closed, nice and tight.
For the corset, yeah.
Yeah, well, so that like it's the idea of like balance and having a nice straight line.
Yeah.
So when I started dance, I was breathing all wrong. So there's really no right way or wrong way to breathe other than what keeps you alive. But when you're singing, that's what's going to help you, is that weird extra expansion of breath.
When you do all those activities, do you consciously or maybe unconsciously, do you switch to different breathings for each activity?
I have to switch consciously, and it's very difficult for me.
But that must give you like super strong mental to be able to even do that, though.
It probably would if I could do it right. I haven't figured that out yet. I have to concentrate on it. Like this is my singing breath, this is yoga breath, this is dancing breath. It's exhausting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it makes a difference.
That's badass. That is gonna be like mad practice.
Yeah, give that a shot. See what happens.
All right, so I'm gonna go for the wrap up now, so we get you out of here. What if you want people to find you online, where should they find you?
I'm on Instagram as DeGroot Kristin. That's DeGroot Kristin, or on Facebook, facebook.com/. KristinDeGroot 923, because September 23rd is my birthday.
Oh, okay.
And somebody already took Kristin DeGroot. She doesn't use it for anything. And I just want to be like, hey, can I have it? You're being selfish. But that's why I need the numbers.
At some point, maybe. Unless she's waiting for the buyout, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, last words?
I'm not good at sum-ups.
Well, I say sum it up. I just say anything you want. Like I gave the homie in Dallas last words, and he just went for some crazy awesome. It was great, but he just went on. I was like, I say sum it up. I just say you do whatever you want. You know, just last words.
I don't know. I don't think I even have any business on a podcast. Like, I think my position is to.
Because then that's gonna make me want to say stuff, and then you ain't leaving. Don't do that.
Well, I think my job is at least in this point in life is to listen and learn, and I still think I have so much of that to do. You know, the wise man knows that he knows nothing. That kind of thing.
It's funny. I used that on someone for me the other day, like just 2 days ago.
I mean, I think that's just universally true. But that's where I'm at right now, is trying to shut down the talking part of myself and allowing myself to listen. Because obviously, like, I'll just talk all day about like nothing, because my brain just goes a mile a minute, and I'm trying to learn to shut that down and listen more and be more receptive. Do
you meditate? And if so, does that help with that or no?
I have been trying to recently. It's hard because I get bored very easily.
Well, which one do you do? Because like there's that of all things, man. Like Googling meditation, there's no one way. There's like 8,000 ways. So what do you do?
That's true. Well, I'm experimenting recently with like the concept of not taking in anything for like 10 or 15 minutes. Like not guided meditation, not anything, and just like existing for like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. Hardest thing I've ever done. I always need input or stimulation of some kind. So
the room,
yeah, it's
that might be the good one for you. The four I like, 3 of them involve breath. I could give you like an email app with like mad detail, but to tell them real quick, the one that doesn't involve breath is kind of like, I guess I've never used any meditation app, but it was I just have the notes on there, so it was a mind thing. But basically, you're just thinking through all these things, you know, like that's where I got some of these life questions I mentioned earlier from. And then the other 2 are like I learned from like Navy SEALs, and it's like one is box breathing and the other one's tactical breathing. One is made to be done while in theory being active, and the other one while we're sitting or something like traditional. But both of them like essentially slow down your pulse extremely a lot. And there's examples of, you know, them losing limbs and doing that breathing that it slowed down their pulse enough so that less blood loss happened and they didn't die. And then the one I do right now is Wim Hof. You ever heard of him? He's called the Iceman. He has close to 30 records, but basically a lot of his records are like extreme heat or extreme cold. Like I climb Mount Everest in my underwear. And or I run Saudi Arabia in my underwear. Yeah. Basically, he does things in his underwear.
Cool, I guess.
But his main power, and the reason why I do his is like, because I was doing the Navy SEAL ones first, but like the reason why I do his is he has the ability to control his autoimmune system. And in theory, I was like, he claims like, hey, if you do this, you can too. And there are medical studies that him and his followers, they put something in him that should take like 2 weeks for it to go past like a human being, like for it to heal or whatever. And like when they put it in him and his followers, like immediately their cells just started attacking it. So I was like, well, if you're the only meditation claiming that you're gonna give me superpowers, I'm gonna try yours.
I mean, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Like, so I do that. If you're interested, I can send you that. But yeah, that's what I mess with. But yours, I haven't tried that. Yours, usually I hear that from like monk stuff, like from monks who kind of like cut off from society, and then people go and do that like just to live with them and stuff. Like Jesse Eisler did that. He's like Atlanta Hawks owner who loves doing extreme stuff. So, but yeah.
I mean, I try, me personally, if if there's anything the thing that's most challenging for me is the thing that I want to do because I don't like being bad at things.
Yeah.
So that makes me want to tackle it the most. So like any other type of meditation is always good. But the hardest one for me is the conscious doing nothing. And I hate it and I'm bad at it. And that kind of makes me go, okay, then there's something about me then that needs to be fixed or needs to be redirected. So we're trying that and we'll see how it goes.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm going to end it there.
All right.
Bake that chicken, smoke that turkey. Boosh.
Be original or stay high. The meaning of the boosh, I'm asked my whole life. On this beat tonight, I put it all to rest. My name in the rap game, can I be the best? Put the pen to pad, mic to chest. Got lost doing this for success. But creation is the journey, Bill Goldberg. Or what's next in my case? Borderline, about to jump back in this rat race. Cause man want his own place. Leave SA without a trace. Let a new city discover my face. Disappear like I'm Mace, but no comeback when I run out of money. Boosh ain't no dummy, still active brain, no mummy. Ain't it funny? Started out making beats, now rapping is my new feat. Be original, stay high. 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 Always been attracted to the other side. Makes sense when I'm on the life ride. I do my own thing, let my heart sing. Ignore the phone rings that tell me to go where everyone is. Life you can't control the kid. Spend a life flirting with the local music biz. Biggest waste of time, what a piece of shit. But still went after it, or rather I got caught up in it. Instead of doing what I like, cause it's what I wanna do. Caught up with crew, chasing others' dreams. Can't tell the difference between me and you. Had to disappear and gather up the crews. Put myself back together to the old Boosh I once knew. But something better, I wanna be here forever. A legacy, a love letter. Let you know it wasn't just for the cheddar. Stay high. Be original, 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 stay high. I grew up in the Bronx, who would've thought I'd end up in Texas? Lost in the nexus of bigger is better. Business degree, go chase the cheddar. But make sure you do it at a 9 to 5 level. Don't forget your shovel when you're working for master. Please make my pockets fatter and fatter. I'm rich, bitch. Can't believe we do this for a living, crazy like Mad Hatter. Thoughts like my brains, I should splatter. Enter my mind, bored with the daily routine. Who am I fooling? Myself trapped in the circle of life. Elton once said, now it's filled with strife. But my heart's still filled with fight. And on this night, I swear to right these wrongs. Therapy through song, follow me along. Stay high. Be original, stay high. Be original, stay high. Be original, stay high. Be original, stay high.